if you want to get shredded, you have to cut all your salt. Wrong. We want it, and let me tell you why. This is Degeneration X. Okay. A very common misconception in the fitness world, and honestly, even in the health community, is that if you're trying to lose body fat, if you want to be less water retentive, that the goal should be to eliminate as much sodium from your meal plan as humanly possible. And sadly, that just couldn't be further from the truth. Unless you have high blood pressure, then that's a whole different conversation. But if you're, for the most part, are a healthy individual and you're working out regularly and training hard, and especially if it's the summer like it is now, we have to really replenish our salt reserves. That anytime we sweat, we're gonna drain our body of it. So when you're working out hard, if you're doing your cardio, if you're honestly just doing outside manual labor, like let's say on the weekends, mowing the grass, like we want to ensure that our body is adequately salted. And one of the ways to easily do that is to add sodium to our food. So let's talk through everything I have in front of me here. We have Himalayan pink sea salt. We have our normal coarse sea salt, table salt, then we have some seasonings. We'll discuss this in a minute. But of these three, I tend to lean more towards the sea salt and the Himalayan pink sea salt. And it kind of just depends on what I want my meal to be like. This is more heavily chunked, and I can taste it in my food, especially chicken and rice. That works really well. Over my eggs, I really like the pink here. So again, you could use all of one or the other, or you can do like I do and mix it up. But the main thing is going to be, in my opinion, we want to salt every single one of our meals that we eat. And honestly, if you're struggling to get a pump in the gym, throw a couple turns of this pink sea salt or a couple shakes into your intra workout and pre-workout, and you'll be surprised what that does to your pump while you're working out. So that's one of the first things outside of hydration I address with any of my clients that say, man, I just really can't get a pump in my muscle, or the muscle feels dead, or I can't contract it properly. This is one of the first things I'll always look at. So you'll see me use some Mish's Dash seasonings because they taste amazing. But the one thing you always notice is I'm gonna add salt to it. If I have a product or a condiment that doesn't have salt in it, or a meal that doesn't have condiments or salt in it, I'm gonna add it because it's good for muscle contractions, it's good for health, and definitely it's gonna be good for our body, and it actually helps manage our blood pressure as well as our water levels within our body. So again, don't be scared of salt here. I'm telling you, it's just absolutely silly, because what I've never understood is like, oh, it's gonna help you lose so much fat. Can I show you something? I want him to zoom in on this. Look how many calories that is. Fucking zero. Zero. How can this make me gain fat? And the answer is, it can't. How can this help me lose fat? And the answer is, it absolutely can't. This has no bearing on my calories because it's zero. So I need you to really remember that. Will this affect your water balance? 100%. If I woke up and had you deplete all your sodium tomorrow, you're gonna drop weight. But the moment you have sodium back in, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna balloon up, your ankles are gonna be puffy, and your fingers are gonna feel swollen like sausages. So again, leave that in there. Now, what people are gonna ask is how much to use and that kind of things. So kind of get a feel for how much you're using currently, and I just want to be consistent with it, because let's say your water values are fluctuating, or your morning weight seems to be really fluctuating based upon how much sodium you've had in your meal plan. So let's say, for example, instead of eating your normal chicken or rice or steak at home and potatoes, you go to Outback and you get a steak and potato, which is a great meal, but the sodium there on their food is going to be drastically higher than what you would put on it at home. So stereotypically what's going to happen is your scale weight's going to be up the next morning, or if you had a big greasy cheat meal at say Five Guys, it's going to be up, because not only did you have more calories than you're accustomed to, but the sodium levels are up. So what we want to think about here is I like to leave sodium constant, very similar to the way I view protein in a meal plan. And then once, hey bud, love you. Oh, the hottie's here. Sorry, we got a light start. We gotta get the lighting right. So I definitely want to leave it constant. So what I want to think about is that, let's say my sodium levels are on the lower end and I want to look to push it up. So what you're gonna have to realize is begin to measure it, see where your current levels are, and then begin to bump it up at say 1 to 2 grams per day over the course of all of your meals. Not at one meal add 1 or 2 grams, but over the course of the whole day. Then from there, let it stabilize for a few days at that level in reestablishing your new baseline to find your set, what I would consider weight. And then if you want to continue to build, just do it like that. Add 1 gram, rest for 3 days. Add 1 gram, rest for 3 days. So I've had clients run this as many as 10 grams of salt in a day, especially if they're at a high labor intensive job like a landscaper, construction worker. If they're outside, let's say they're a nurse or a doctor and they're running all over across the medical floor, they're gonna need more because they're pouring sweat. Mechanics are another great example of people that I've really had to double down and do a little bit more than what I would consider normal. Or if you have a desk job and air conditioning all day, it's probably not something you need to be super focused on because you're not gonna be sweating nearly as much as those individuals. Now, let's say for example, you just don't want to heavily salt your meals and hey, I want some more flavor and taste to it. These 3 products that I have pulled out of my cabinet here are great options. Number 1, if you've ever worked with me, you know that I like these pre-lift. These are hamburger deals. I like 2 ounces right before you train with your pre-lift meal. So great option because the sodium one here is 260 milligrams per ounce. So you're gonna get 520 in terms of milligrams of sodium. So great little option. Again, those are very low calorie, essentially because they're just cucumbers that are in vinegar. So these are gonna be a great option to really bump that sodium up pre-lift and not take up a lot of stomach space. Okay, another cool thing, this teriyaki sauce. If you look at the label in here, so per serving is a tablespoon, and I'm gonna get 610 milligrams of sodium. Another great option. Chicken or rice, put this with some vegetables, great option. And lastly, Frank's Red Hot. Another great option. 190 mgs of Frank's Red Hot. Again, chicken or rice, turkey. I personally am a big fan of putting this over turkey and green beans, turkey and asparagus. Great option, gives it some heat, some nice flavor. If you're making like some tortillas, throw that on top of your meat, give it some heat. But also get the sodium in. So in recap and all, like I can't stress enough to you, get your sodium levels measured, keep it constant, and then if you're finding that your workout performance or your daily performance is not adequate, you just slowly start bumping it up and keep it in. And remember, please share this with your friends. And I say that because I want to kill this myth. It's terrible, it drives me insane, and something to remember, sodium does not cause you to gain fat. Add it to your plan now, and I'm telling you, your workout performance will go way up. So thanks for watching along, guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you want more videos or myth-busting tips like this, comment below, and I'm happy to talk about any of them. Have a great day.